and welcome to MySecurityTV. My name is Chris Cubbage. I'm with MySecurity Media, and this is our Tech and Sec Weekly, our Tuesday afternoon episode. And given it's the end of March, we're going to do a Q1 2021 market update. We're going to be joined by Jeff Park, ANZ Country Manager with Seagate, and we have done some sessions with Jeff talking about video surveillance in the video surveillance sector and also video analytics. So looking forward to speaking to Jeff. And then we've also got a special guest from Singapore, Abhijit Shanbhag. He's the founder and CEO of Greymatics, and we're talking about video analytics, very interesting applications in schools. And I thought here in Australia might be somewhat controversial, but also spark some interest into the power of video analytics. So that's part one for today. So that's it from the marketplace, and technically not from the that's it, because we're going to be talking about the market in general with Jeff Park, ANZ Country Manager with Seagate. Jeff, thanks for joining us.
Hi, Chris. Good to see you again.
Good to see you. And yeah, it's a bit of a new thing that we're doing, obviously, with the market. We're at end of Q1 at March here in an interesting year so far. So we thought we'd do a quarter update. What have you seen sort of so far? How is it looking? And obviously we'll talk about the Australian New Zealand market, and if anyone else sort of has some insights from the Asia Pacific, yeah, welcome to fire that in. But Jeff, sort of what's the year sort of started off for you and with your customers and stakeholders?
Sure, Chris. I think in the beginning of the year is always a good year for the industry to get together and share, their plans for the year, but also trying to really plan the resources that we have to address the market requirements. And as we come out of more of the restrictions, I had the pleasure of meeting a lot of other ecosystem vendor partners here in Australia, a lot of VMS partners, a lot of SI system wholesale distributors that are related to security. And one thing is very common among all these vendor partners and wholesale SI system integrators. They are really seeing a very, very steady demand coming from the market for the security and CCTV surveillance. I think there was some business impact because the integrator couldn't go out to the customer side, and there was some uncertainties about the budget rollout. But I think everybody is investing more, and I think one thing we're facing as a hurdle as an industry is long lead time from the semiconductor shortage.
Yep.
Other than that, I'm hearing very common. They are deploying more resources. They're setting up new test facilities, design centers. They're running more courses to educate their partners. I think through the COVID last year, and we're still learning, there are so many applications that the NVRs can onboard to utilize the existing infrastructures they have invested.
Well, what we did see this quarter is the sort of the vendors, the VMS sector, trying to get closer to the customer as well. And it's obviously almost, it does make it difficult, obviously, during COVID and there's lockdowns. They've opened up experience centres. So we actually visited Milestone Experience Centre, virtually though. That was one thing. But also Axis released some news that they're reinventing the Oceania region as well. So they're breaking down how they view their particular market. So that's Axis Communications. And Hills and Milestone also released some news that they're signing a new sort of partnership and distribution agreement as well. So there has been some sort of movements there, both from the market, from the camera side, but also from the VMS side on that distribution. Any other movements like that you saw elsewhere as well?
I think so. That's more of a global size movement, that recognizing the market trend here in Australia and New Zealand, where I think the market really see this as an investment, not a cost of doing business. We talked about this before. So definitely it's good to see these global partners investing more in the Australian market. When I speak to more of a local companies who provide actual service to the end users, I think there has been some changes how they also bring the solutions in. So only a few years ago, we had this challenges of overseas solution coming in as an out-of-box solution, and it was very hard for integrators to put it into their customers because it wasn't really addressing the local requirement in terms of camera resolutions or the storage requirement. It wasn't ready for the built-in the AI features. But I think things has changed. So through many of the courses and trainings and knowledge built, I see more of integrators offering blocks of solutions for integrators to go out and really provide a customized solution that works better for the Australian customers. I think that's a really positive move. It also puts a lot of control to the Australian service providers, but ultimately the end users get what they need rather than the solution made it from overseas.
Fair enough too. So look, what we'll do, we also had one of the other highlights I had, it's not so much a market update, but has brought the market to the headlines, was the Vicada, or Vicada, whichever one you want to say, is the security breach. Hackers accessed the Vicada sort of security network. 150,000 cameras were hacked into. What again does that sort of indicate back to the market, that these are IoT devices and cybersecurity? And it's again something else. We cover cyber very strong. A lot of the VMS and the camera manufacturers are talking to us about saying, well, we want to get our cybersecurity message out there. It was quite disappointing to see Vicada as a startup out of Silicon Valley getting hit. But again, where do you see sort of cybersecurity coming into play and the importance of that?
I think this kind of threat, unfortunately, whether you're talking to private companies or government or even us individuals, it's unfortunately it's unavoidable. I think the best way is to really analyze the threat and do your due diligence. But at the same time, I feel there has to be more from the government and the regulations around to ensure that the SIs who actually have the access to the customer information do take more stringent measurement to protect their valuable information. We talked about data being a new oil. It's not just sensitive information, but can also have a great implication in financial. So I think we almost have to draw out a new page, say, where are the potential breaches and who is taking responsibility? Seagate has implemented some of the highest encryption drives for our enterprise drives, and we have planned to roll that out in a security area as well. And I think it will be very welcomed as it will have a highest AES-256 encryption drives.
Nice. Okay, well, look, I've got a couple of movers and shakers, but I'll keep that to the end. And let's dive into some video analytics. And a good example of some leading technology that I saw this week was out of Singapore and in the schools. So let's joined by Abhijit Shanbhag. I hope I'm saying that correctly, founder and CEO of Graymatics. Abhijit, how are you?
Oh, very good. Hello, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Very good. You are in Singapore, I take it? I got that right?
I'm currently based in Singapore.
Very good. So I've got some slides here. Maybe introduce us to cognitive multimedia analytics and what you're doing, because you had a play on this of smart CCTV. So you're obviously trying to sort of commercialize the video analytics side of things. This isn't so much a surveillance security approach. It's more of a sort of a business operations and data collection viewpoint. Yeah, talk us through your business.
Sure. It's actually a combination of both, improving or making operations more efficient, as well as for security and safety. So as a quick background, Graymatics, we have developed a video AI platform to be able to harvest very rich set of insights from the installed CCTV base. Okay,
Yep.
a large number of CCTVs currently installed across cities, inside schools, currently used in a very reactive way. So the video feeds will be captured by CCTVs, recorded within a digital video recorder, and if some crime, vandalism happens, then the security team will go and try and retrieve the appropriate feeds. So with respect to Graymatics, we are now enabling our platform to be able to utilize the massive installed base of CCTVs in a very proactive, solution-oriented way.
Okay.
So,
Listen, just before you go on, I had my slide back the wrong way. So anyone listening, where I've got a giveaway here. You can see it in the background here. So if you want to grab a copy of, this is a freebie from D-Link. If you can tell me how much these are retailing for in Australia, you can grab one if you like. So if you're listening, comment in on how much these are retailing for, and I'll get one out to you. So I had my slides the wrong way around, so we'll run that again at the end of this. But Abhijit, talk us through, you talked about your sort of platform and your video and audio. You're picking up audio as well. Let's talk about kind of what these applications are, and maybe let's even start off before the first question is, where do you have this sort of, who are your customer bases? What are your customer profiles? How many systems do you have out in the market sort of doing this?
Sure. So currently we have 4 categories of customers. So one includes the cities, smart cities. Okay, the cities which have installed their CCTVs across traffic junctions, inside parks, inside government buildings and such. They are utilizing our platform very actively so as to be able to better leverage from their installed CCTV base for
And
various solutions.
okay, and you sit on top of the VMS, or are you reviewing recorded footage, or are you reviewing at the edge, at the camera level? Where does your system sit?
The system sits in a server or a device. Actually, it will be co-located with where the video management system is.
At the head end, right? Yep.
Exactly. So it can take the video feed either from the VMS or directly from the CCTV.
Okay.
Right.
So obviously you've got your video analytics, your person recognition and tracking, clothing, so dress, color, pattern, sleeve style, and neckline. What type of resolution do you need to start to pick up things like necklines and sleeve styles?
While the necklines and such do require a higher resolution, the whole premise of our platform is to be able to utilize the existing installed CCTV base, which may have very low resolution, right? So we have optimized a lot of our analytics to be able to work with, say, the majority installed base, which may be about 1 megapixel resolution.
Okay.
Right. So we provide more than 100 analytics, and certain analytics like neckline might require a higher resolution camera. But most of our other analytics, the current installed base of 1 megapixel is sufficient to provide the level of analytics.
Okay. Now, the one that really got my interest was the applications in schools. Do you have a system in a school in Singapore?
That's correct. Yes.
Okay.
So in fact, some major universities in Singapore and actually in other parts of the world, like in India, in Philippines, are now using the platform for a range of use cases. Again, they have several CCTVs that are already installed. It's not effectively used right now. We are now beginning to make much better use of the CCTVs to offload a lot of the operational burden. Like as an example, with respect to attendance management within classes, it is estimated that close to about 20% of the classroom time can be taken in doing attendance management and such activities. Right. So now the CCTVs are already installed inside the school, inside the classrooms and such. There's no need to do any explicit attendance management. Our platform can immediately detect every person in the classroom, and with our dashboard, the attendance log is managed. But in addition to that, there are various additional use cases as well, like when with respect to identifying what the attentivity of the student inside the classroom is, right? So for teachers, for example, it's very important for them to have some kind of a metric as to as to what the attentivity of the classroom is. And classrooms are becoming bigger. You now have 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 students in a classroom. It's impossible to be able to track how, let's say, students in the backbenches and such are doing. So with our platform, it will identify what the attentivity metric across the students within the classroom is, and it will provide immediate feedback to the teacher. So
Okay, let's just stop and talk about this one, Jeff. What are your thoughts on this one? I'm seeing, I am seeing issues. I can see applications for it though, because I can imagine if you got 30 little ones running around, it's going to be a hard one. Maybe when they walk in. What are your thoughts on this one at a school for attendance? Because obviously there's going to be a degree of facial recognition there too.
Yeah, so I mean, I got two little kids going in different schools, and these days, just because we talked about the cyber threat just earlier on, some parents do have concerns about their kids' face being shared on the social media network. So I guess different countries will definitely adapt to sort of different solutions. I can see that these tools will provide certain advantage. Obviously, we're talking about utilizing a lot of existing infrastructures, but I think there has to be some sort of customization with respective schools or state governments. Yeah.
Yeah, Abhijit, I think the other one would be where that camera is placed and the type of camera. So I wouldn't see it as a standard security camera. You would need to have that right angle. You'd need to bring it down at the front of the class. And here in Australia, I'm not aware that they would allow this. But I can see things like expression and surprises. If you're not identifying the students, but you can sort of track attentiveness and a few other bits and pieces, that might be of interest to some schools, I can see. But yeah, I think there's always that privacy, security and safety versus the business case for it. Is there business case for something like this? So it's an interesting one, and yeah, it's something we'll monitor over time. If you have a good example of where it's been applied, yeah, please let us know and we'll share that out. And I think the other one would be how the information is presented. Is it on a line graph? It's a bit like with us with a YouTube video. We can see what our audience attention was as they watch a video, whether they all leave after 30 seconds. Most of them do, but and then if some sort of last through to the end, yeah, we obviously see that. And I think if you got that sort of feedback on a classroom, that would be an interesting one from a teacher performance monitoring application. So yeah, very good. And obviously there's some others. You're sort of identifying certain behavior and activity in the hallway as well?
That's correct. In fact, on the previous one, you asked about properly presenting the data, right? So a very important part of our platform is also the dashboards and such, which provides various actionable recommendations finally to the end user, in this case, with respect to the teachers, that perhaps the attentiveness in one part of the classroom is a lot lower than in another part. So all of that will be provided explicitly as recommendations.
Yeah, very interesting.
Right. So another
yeah, go. Yeah, no, go.
Right. So another very important area is with respect to detecting any bullying activities, right, inside the school. And I might also just comment, privacy is not so much of an issue in some of these use cases. I can understand it can be a use case of, let's say, especially outside the classroom, inside, let's say, if students are outside the school and tracking students and identifying what they may be doing may be viewed to be potentially invading privacy. Here we have teachers who are looking at the students, who are watching everyone. We are just trying to make things a lot easier for the teachers by utilizing these cameras which are already installed in an easier way.
Yeah, we do have there's a similar startup here in Australia doing this, and obviously pushing and running is something that kids will be doing anyway. It's going to be a hard one to track, but obviously it just highlights this behavior. It doesn't necessarily alarm it. It just kind of highlights that it's occurring, right?
Right. So with respect to bullying, right, some of the major universities in Singapore are also now deploying this platform to detect any kind of bullying activities in different parts of the school campus, right? So there are certain areas which are termed to be vulnerable areas with respect to bullying activities and such. So
Okay.
specifically for the CCTVs which may be installed in there, they would utilize our platform to send an alert
And
anytime
the
there
other
is a
one
bullying.
is, this is an interesting one as well, with detecting whether people are in or out of school uniform, if you've got the shirts tucked in or not. That's a good one.
Yeah, especially wearing. It's interesting wearing school ties. Some of the schools, for example, in India, they are very sticklers that
Mm.
the students coming in, they have to wear their tie. Commonly, there is some mindset, especially the younger kids, if they've removed their tie and opened out their buttons, they may not be progressing in the direction they would like to in a disciplined way, right?
I think it
So
could also, I mean, that could be one thing, is identifying potential suspicious persons or intruders. Anyone who's not in uniform is obviously a red flag as to what that person might be doing there, particularly at certain times or certain locations. And this is another one here where you've got preventing students loitering. So again, that's certain locations, and you're setting up these trigger lines here, yeah?
exactly, the sensitive areas inside a school campus where students cannot enter, and in fact, some of those rules may be fairly complex. That students cannot enter a certain part, but there can be adults who can enter there, right? Or there will be certain other spaces within the campus that at specific times no one, students or adults, nobody could enter, right? So there are various such complex rules where the triggers need to be sent based on the custom requirements
Very
from.
good. I
So
like this.
one application
Sorry, go, Jeff.
that comes
Yeah.
to my mind is, so Chris, you probably don't do this anymore, but a lot of parents here pick up their kids after the school. Obviously, some catch the bus, but when the parents' car comes in, they need to flag their last name in front of the windshield. And a
Ah,
mission
right.
is given to a teacher to remember all these children's last name. And if you're talking about kids with thousands in school, it's a mission impossible,
Yeah.
right? So you could have number plate recognition where the kids get picked up, and they can have a system to call out the kid's name. So I
Yeah.
think that's less invasive, very applicable to the Australian market.
I like it. Yeah, some sort of you could even have a sort of digital sign up saying for the kids to get ready and line up in a certain order, the same order as the cars are coming in.
Absolutely.
I also like this one. I literally did this in high school. The teacher was writing on the blackboard, and I snuck out and I took the afternoon off. I was a naughty 14-year-old. But when I saw this, I thought, oh damn it, okay. So now going to catch me next time. And certain violence or activity in the classroom as well. Obviously, are you using machine learning or some sort of algorithm that is self-learning in this type of behaviour? What type of tech are you actually using?
Yeah, well, yeah, all of these techniques are AI powered, all based on machine learning and such. Commonly, it may be a combination of machine learning, for instance, to detect a person, uh, and then to track how the person is moving. If the person is moving in an anomalous way and such, again, there will be some machine learning techniques used to identify if a person's gait is anomalous. But otherwise, it's a combination of machine learning techniques with specific configurable rules that the school authorities may have. So again, we provide some kind of some very simple UI where they can enter certain rules, identify a region of interest, where let's say to detect any kind of loitering or crossing the line of let's say a classroom exit door at specific prohibited hours and such.
And you're the founder. Is this something that you've developed over time as the company? in terms of your own algorithms, or just applying obviously known algorithms? But is there anything unique there that you've done, or you've just built this together?
No, all of this intellectual property belongs to Graymatics. So Graymatics has been developing this. In fact, we started before deep learning and AI really became such a vogue word. In fact, we were using various deep learning techniques. In fact, some of the pioneers of what later came to be called as deep learning were part of the founding team of Graymatics.
Great, very nice. And I will give I'll give the Isotana team a plug here. They've listed, I think they listed last year, but very similar. But it's a self-learning. It sounds like you're applying sort of traditional video analytics with some of that machine learning algorithm as well, so that video starts to learn. How long have you been around, Abhijit?
We started in Silicon Valley. We actually got incorporated towards the end of 2011. So it's been a while, but in full operations, we've been since 2013.
Okay, very good.
While we started in Silicon Valley, we started an office at an early time in Singapore, since APAC was our initial target market. And with time, we decided to move our HQ to Singapore from Silicon Valley.
Very good. Well, look, thank you so much for joining us. We'll let you go, but it's good to get a briefing. And as Jeff and I sort of discussed, and even now, Jeff, I'm pretty sure it was this year so far, we looked at the video analytics market, and the Seagate Skyhawks are specifically built. And maybe that's one thing. You don't look at the back end of the VMS. You're just purely a box that sits aside that and does the video analytics. You're not interested in the storage aspect. Are you storing data as well, Abhijit?
We do work closely with, and in fact, we would love to work with Jeff for Australia, but we do work closely with the system vendors.
Very good.
Including Seagate. So it's finally a joint solution which is deployed.
Well, look, it's let me just bring up your website if I've got it in front of me. It is graymatics.com. So if you want to reach out, yeah, that's the one. So if you want to reach out to Abhijit, let us know, or find him up on LinkedIn. He's there, so he'll be in the show notes. But Abhijit, we'll let you go. Enjoy your warm Singapore afternoon.
Thank you very much, Chris. Thank you, Jeff. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much. See you later. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So, Jeff, I'm just conscious of time now, but we'll finish off. It's an interesting one from a market update. We've put it out to the audience what their highlights will be. Just some other news from the market that we had, and this is part of our CCTV Buyer's Guide, which is cctvbuyersguide.com. We've also split this year. Our CCTV Buyer's Guide is now also split with our Smart Cities Tech, because we found that the surveillance video market really does often cross over to that Smart Cities Tech, and it's very converged. So we try to keep the industry, the VMS industry news separate. Quest Security here in Australia won the APAC Genetech Solution Innovation Partner of the Year. So well done to Quest Security. OnViv have got a new chairman. And let me just bring up his name, otherwise we won't know who it is. I should have had that one ready. Do you know it off by chance? OnViv, where it is? Here we go. Leonard Levitt is the new chairman of the OnViv Steering Committee. Because I think the previous chairman was there for quite a while. So OnViv have got a new chairman. And also, here he is, Michael Hirsch. Is also the head of now the 5 business unit at Bosch Building Technologies. It was another sort of mover and shaker. So that's pretty much it from our market update. If there's anything else, Jeff, let us know. And I think we'll try to keep these going quarter to quarter, just on what those trends are. What would be your outlook for quarter 2? Unfortunately, here in Australia, Queensland's just gone into a 3-day lockdown, looking a little bit troublesome for the rest of Australia. But we have enjoyed a couple of months free, and as you mentioned, the physical events just started to come back, and I think everyone's put back into reality now that this isn't going away. What do you reckon for quarter 2?
Well, I think hopefully the Queenslanders enjoy the extended Easter break, and hopefully they'll be able to roam free as the new sports season of the AFL and NRL kicks off. For the Q2, I'm really trying to understand better about this impact that we're going to be facing with a semiconductor shortage. Getting different insights from different suppliers and market researchers. But at the moment, it seems like it's going to stay here for a while. Going to impact many industries, not just our industry, but across automotive. And so our priority is really making sure we have enough stocks available for our partners here in Australia. And I think we've done that in the last few months. And so we'll continue to make sure we have a right access to our partners.
Yeah, hopefully the supply chain does sort of get back to normal. It should do, but we might have some additional delays with the Suez Canal shipment. God knows how much has been blocked through that ship, and it'll be interesting to see how much it does impact us in the region as well, particularly say with European supplies coming through to the region. So most of them are coming through there. So yeah, something to monitor on the impacts, as you mentioned, semiconductors, but also sort of global shipping supply chains at the moment has been disrupted. So a good one to look out for. So look, Jeff Park, the ANZ Country Manager with Seagate, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Chris.
And look forward to having you on again, mate. Thank you very much. I'll let you go.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
Good on you. All the best.